Welcome back to the Path of Wire Wrapping channel. I have been gone quite a while. My apologies. I think my last video was October of 2025. I was in a program that was rather intense for business building. It finished at the end of December, and then I was really exhausted, and then I just kind of lost my creative spark for a while, but I think I'm back, so I'm gonna try to do this today. I've been watching some videos to try to get my mojo back, and I did see one, I think it was Mithril Arts. She did a prong setting video. I'm not going to be doing that, but I am taking a few elements of that. I'm not even sure what to call it at this point, but there will be some sort of name on the thumbnail. I've cut about 5 inches of 20 gauge dead soft raw copper wire square. I'm going to use this to make the part that will attach to the stone and the bail. It isn't exactly the bail because the bail is going to be something else I will attach at the end. I'm going to cross these over. I tried to do that right in the middle. You can use anything, a pen, whatever in your house. I just want them to meet in the middle, and then I'm going to take my pliers and just push them up so they meet, and take that pen out of there. And then you just are going to be left with this sort of lollipop looking thing. All this length is going to get mostly cut off. You want it to be relatively straight. And this is dead soft. Now she was using hard or half hard because with prongs you really do have to be careful. I'm going to harden this up a little bit with my chasing hammer. This will be the base. Now I have these, which are thinner. They're actually 22 gauge round wires, dead soft, copper raw. I'm going to take 22 gauge half round and I'm going to attach it, putting these side by side with this bulbous piece here. We're going to try and get some wraps in. The stone will be like this, approximately. You're going to want your wraps to be somewhere in the middle of that. So we're going to put one of these on either side. And we want to make sure that they're going to be approximately even when they come down from the wraps, because we're going to need some excess wire to do the design I'm planning. What I want to do, take my half round and I'm going to do several wraps, trying to keep these from crawling on top of the other thing. So what you want to do, if you can get one wrap on there, is maybe move them out of the way. You're going to want to wrap them, so make sure they're kind of close, you know, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do, I don't know how many wraps, but at least 6. I'll probably have to do more the other way. And then you want your end of the wrap to come inward where the inside will be, so it doesn't scratch anybody. So then I can flatten that down, and I'm probably going to do, you know, a few more, maybe 1 or 2 more. And as you can see, they're trying to crawl on top of each other. Like that. I think that's good enough. Maybe 1 more. I don't want it to be too long. Okay, and as it comes up the other side, you're going to cut it off and move that out of the way so it doesn't make people crazy. And then just bring it up and over to the inside, assuming you didn't cut it too short. I almost did. Okay, and then just flatten them all down. Now you should have what looks like, you know, one of those sock puppet things you see. The stone's going to go right about there. I'm going to take some masking tape and just tape around. Actually, that's very thick. Or I should probably tape it further down. We're going to be working up at the top, so it has to be lower. All right, tape that around, and then make sure that when it's taped around that it's as centered as it can be. It's very slippery, so this can be a problem. It's being very slippery. I actually might put another piece here just to try to keep it from moving. Method to my madness. Okay, see that? Now I'm gonna cross these 2 pieces. You want to push them down at an angle, because that's how they go best, is at an angle. And this is where it's going to get tricky. You want to hold it as tightly as you can, and the one that's underneath, you want to bring that around that way, and then bring the other one the other way. You might use your pliers if you want, because it might help to tighten this up to make a tight little swirly design. And bring that around a few times. You can take these wires to the back and have a design that's like this at the top, and then maybe the same sort of thing at the bottom. This is not exactly centered, so what I might try to do on the bottom is make it slightly off center in the opposite direction, so it actually sort of looks symmetrical. The important part is capturing the stone, and I might actually do something where I take these to the back. So I'm not going to cut them off yet because I haven't made a decision. I am just going to try not to stab myself with them as I work on the bottom. So let's try and take this tape off and this tape off. This is still going to be quite slippery and loose, but at least it has a little place to catch it now. Now we're going to see how that looks and push it down as best you can, as much as you can. Make sure your wires are not crisscrossed. Bring them out like you would making legs, and then these will be angled upward instead of downward until they cross over each other, hopefully in the center. I'm going to take the bottom one. I don't know if I should have planned which one would be the bottom one, but it is what it is. Again, this is the tricky part. This isn't something that takes a long time, but you have to have your act together. You know, actually I can pull this up a little just to stop the stone from bouncing about. So that's a good use for keeping those wires. And this one I'm going to move so it doesn't stab me. And I'm going to try, and as you can see, this piece has really moved over a bit. And my fingers are all, don't mind my winter fingers. Yeah, so it's moved over a bit to the right if you're looking at the top. So we're going to try and move this one over to the left to make it look like we planned it that way. And the hard part is going to be getting past those wires. Okay, and you want to make sure you've got enough, because we're going to have to use these wires to hold your stone in, both the top and the bottom. So make sure you have enough off the bottom of the stone. And then again, going to use the pliers. I hope you can see this because I know I'm not really giving you very good verbal instructions. I'm sorry. Okay, so then we're going to do that, and we're going to keep going, and we just want to tighten it up a bit. So, and then we can kind of do the same thing here. Just bring it around to the back. And then you can do what you want that way. Okay, I need this up a little higher. Okay. All right, and we're going to have to tighten everything up when we're done. So the good thing about these two wires in the back is that you can attach your front wires to the bottoms of them quite nicely. And that will tighten everything up for the front, but it will also cause this to move. So you have to make sure that you move it back to where you want it before everything is all super tight. Okay, so I'm gonna tighten that down. Actually use my new pliers that have these cool little hooks on them. This is also Xuron brand. And what we're using, by the way, we always need wire straighteners just in case, and a ruler, and flush cutters, and tweezer nose pliers, and then if you want these sort of bent nose tweezer nose pliers, a hammer, a metal block for the hammer, and anything else you can think of, and of course the wires I already mentioned. So this one, at this point I'm going to lift these up a little bit so that I can hopefully get underneath a little bit better to really secure that. And I love how these kind of are good at tightening up. But again, check that, make sure it's still centered. Actually, surprisingly, it is. And then if you're going around to the back with this one, now this one, I'm going to move this out of the way. But this one, I'm going to bring up and over the wraps, I think. Actually, I could cut some of that off. Make it easier. See, these guys got in my way now. Just going to bend that up, over, under. And this is actually going to tighten that up. And not sure how much, if I'm going to be able to go under again, but that's all I need really. Right there. Okay, that shouldn't scratch anybody. And then if it's still loose, well, we'll wait till the end to check all that because we don't want to mess up anything just yet. I wonder if I could utilize that as, yeah, because that would really hold it in if I could do something here. I think I'm going to make a couple of little swirls at the bottom here just to kind of secure that a little bit better. And then you cut, you know, leave enough room for whatever swirls you want to make. I'm going to twist these around. These are, you know, the ends of the square wire, and square wire twists nicely. Let's hope I don't, you know, screw anything up. But I'm going to give it a little bit of a twist. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And before I do any swirls or anything, I'm going to just once again pull this to make sure it's right where I want it before I try to secure the bottom. Okay, now I can take, I didn't add this in because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but these are round nose pliers. And I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to do a little swirly thing. And I'm going to pull that up, making sure, now see, it kind of slid. Let me bring it back. Okay. And do the same thing over here. Just get a little swirly thing. Okay. Then we've got these two little swirls at the bottom. Oh, we slid again. Hopefully not too much because I gotta fix this. One thing you can do if you find that you've lost your, you know, your top there, is you can push these guys in a little bit. See? And then you'll have your top back. Okay. So we might want to move these down a little bit for symmetry's sake, if it's possible. I'm going to try to move this down before I totally... Sorry. I went too far. I went too far. Okay. Yeah, I've gotten a little bit loopy. Okay. Let's go back and stop freaking out. I'm going to go higher. That one should also go higher. Now let's go back because we want to make sure we're nice and tight. If we have to tighten up our swirls. I like the idea of this one going a little bit lower. So this one I'm going to put underneath of the wraps. If I can get it underneath the wraps. And again, keep an eye, it's trying to slide over. Okay. So hopefully, you know, once I've done this more than one time, I can do it a little bit more gracefully. You know what, I'm going to, because it's kind of, I'm afraid it's going to stick out and stick somebody. So I'm going to put it under this wire too. Just make that curl, press it down just a bit so it's secure and it's not going to be hurting anybody. Now this one, I'm going to take underneath the Bailey thingy. And actually, maybe I don't want to go underneath. Maybe I'll go over. Okay, so go under here. And this will secure that, hopefully from, you know, moving much anymore. But we got to make sure it's in the right place before we totally lock that in. I don't think that's straight, and that's bugging me. Okay. So I did actually make it a bit too low. And I am going to press it up more. So that actually will, I think that looks better, honestly. And that should be, now I wish this was a little bit more, I'm going to try and get this a little bit, this is loose now when I do that. So the way you can tighten stuff up when it's loose is with crimping. So you can take your pliers and you can just do that. And that will tighten things up with that. But you got to be careful because it can kind of make everything go out of whack a bit. And so I want to make sure that's where that is. And I think that I probably want to bend the opposite way while holding on to it with my finger. And that will tighten that up. Let's see. Actually, I tightened it both ways. So then press it down. Okay. So now that that's, you know, everything's nice and tight, and I'm going to tighten these up too, and I'm going to lock that in. But once everything's really nice and tight, if I choose, I can get rid of those swirls at the bottom because I don't know if they do aesthetically fit in as I had hoped. So this one I'm going to just twist over, you know, if you can see it. Just twisting that over that a couple of times. So it's locking that in and it's locking itself in, and this is all nice and tight. And even though it's not hard wire, it is good. I think I'm going to just take these because they don't look right. Not that I won't keep some swirl, but I'm going to use that for the back. Let's see how that would go. This might still be a little long. I think that was a little bit long. And then I'll bring it down and kind of swirl it in the back. So you get some swirlies in the back. Actually, that might be. All right, so this is what we have. And it's to make it less movable, I am going to do some more tweaks with tightening, with crimps. Okay. And then if there's still looseness, you can do a second crimp. And this isn't the prettiest looking back I've ever done, for sure, but it works, it works. Okay, so then I'm going to crimp this here, and I'm going to crimp this. Okay, now with this, you can either leave these like straight, I think I will, or you can put crimps in the front. That'll serve to both tighten things up and to give you sort of a design element. So it's up to you. So making sure that is where it is. I'm going to press this little doohickey down a bit. There you go. I'm just going to make, and I'm going to press these together tightly. And we're going to make a little Bailey thing to hang. Try not to scratch it up. So hopefully I'll come back with something a little bit more substantial next time, but I decided, you know what, I can't wait any longer to get something out. I have been on my butt for too long here. So that needed to be done, and I'm sorry if it was kind of quick and dirty and it's not perfect, but it is going to hopefully give you some sort of, you know, just a little bit of a creative idea about how to do something like that. If you were thinking about a prong, but you don't think a prong is going to work for you, this is another option. So it's sort of the prong back, as ugly as this is, but God, it's really ugly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, looks really pretty in the front. So hopefully it'll give you some ideas. And I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do, hopefully that won't be too big. So this is going to be, I'm going to do a smaller one here. Oops. So when you do one of these kind of doohickeys, you can do a single wire. I kind of tend to do the double, and I do one that's bigger and one that's smaller. And I pull it out a little bit because I'm going to hopefully curl it up a bit. Okay, and then I'll take these. And so, yeah, I also used bail making pliers. So you need, and I used my flat nose. You know, it's good to, no matter what you're doing, have a wide variety of tools at your disposal. Now, I'm going to do these one at a time because I find when I try to do them together, I really mess them up. Okay, so they should meet nicely at that end. And then this, well, actually, the bigger one's probably best for your cord or chain, whichever you prefer. And this, pull it out a little bit, and then you put it back in nice and tight. Okay, and there you go. I hope you like it. Thanks for viewing, and please like and subscribe. I really greatly appreciate it. I will try and get another one out sooner rather than later. I know I've promised that in the past, but I'm doing the best I can, and I hope you enjoy it. Take care. Bye.